practicing force problems. So here's a problem. I made this one up. There's a block on a frictionless incline, 33 degrees, 1.2 kilograms, and it's connected to a spring. So the spring's holding it there. And when the block is placed on the incline, the spring stretches 2.3 centimeters. So the question is, what's the spring constant for that spring? Well, in a problem like this, what we want to start off with is a free body diagram. So I'm going to draw my dot right there. There's my dot because the free body diagram, it does not depend on the actual size of the object, so it's a dot. And we want to think about what forces are in contact or acting on that dot, and there's two kinds, long range and contact. There's only one long range force that you're probably going to deal with, and that means it doesn't have to touch, and that's the gravitational force. So that's a downward gravitational force. I'll write that as just mg, where g is the gravitational field. Look at all that chalk on me. That just shows I'm working hard. Look at that. Okay. Now, what's touching the block? Well, the incline is touching the block, and the spring is touching the block. So I'm going to have two forces on that, extra forces on that. So which way does the incline push on it? Because it's frictionless, it only pushes one way, and that's perpendicular to the surface, so that would be this way. And I'll write that as in. Finally, I have the spring. The spring only pulls or pushes in the direction of the spring. It obviously has to pull in this case because it has to pull this way to prevent the block from sliding down. So I have the final force Fs in that direction. Once we identify all the forces acting on our object and we draw the force diagram, the next thing that we want to do is to pick our coordinate system. We're going to pick our x and y axis. Now, there's no such thing as the x and y axis, so we can pick it wherever we want. Let's pick it in a way that benefits us. Not the problem, but us. It makes it easier for us. So in this case, if I pick this as my x-axis and this is my y-axis, that spring force is all in the x direction. I don't have to find components for the spring force. The normal force is all in the y direction. I don't have to find components for the y direction. And the gravitational force is in that direction. So this angle is the angle theta, and I showed in my summary video that that's also the angle theta. That comes up all the time. So if I have this angle as theta, it's the same as that 33 degrees. But now we can write our force equations. We can say, since it's in equilibrium, I have the following two things are true. The net force in the x direction is 0. The net force in the y direction is 0. And that's true no matter which way I picked those coordinate systems, but I picked it that would make it easier. So let's look at this equation right here. What forces are, let's just add up the forces in the x direction. Well, this is not in the x direction. It has no component in the x direction. So it just has a 0 x component. I'm not even going to write it down. This one, gravity, here's the x component of gravity. Now, we're going to look at this right triangle. And I know this length is mg, the hypotenuse is mg, but I want to find the opposite side. So the opposite side is going to be equal to mg sine of theta, right? Because remember, sine of theta gives you opposite of our hypotenuse. So if we solve for the opposite, we get the hypotenuse times sine of theta, mg sine theta. The spring force is in the negative x direction. So we're just going to write that as negative Fs. I don't know what it is, and that's fine. Now, could I go ahead and solve for that right now? Yeah, I can, right? I don't actually need the y direction. I'm going to write it down anyway, but I don't need it. So in the y direction, I have two forces in the y direction. I have the normal force, and then I have this component of the gravitational force, which is the adjacent side. It's in the negative y direction, so it's going to be negative mg cosine theta. So those are my two equations. And if we just go through and put a mark on the things that we know and the things that we don't know, or just mark down the things we don't know. Do I know m? I do. Do I know g? I do. Do I know theta? I do. Do I know the spring force? Nope, I don't know that. Do I know the normal force? Nope, I don't know that. Do I know m, g, theta? Yes. So there's actually two things I don't know. This is two equations, two unknowns, but they don't really matter. They don't connect, right? I don't have any connection between these two equations, which is fine. Don't think that you have to solve everything. You could solve for the normal force, but I don't really care. I do want to find the spring force. So that's pretty easy. I can solve this equation for the spring force. I can just add the spring force to both sides, and I get Fs is going to be mg sine theta. Notice that I have not put any numerical values in yet. You could put them in, but it's a lot easier just to wait until the very end to put your numerical values in. So I can find the spring force. I know m, I know g, I know sine theta. I could do that. And remember, g is the magnitude of the gravitational field. It's not negative. We've already taken into account the negative by drawing that down. Well, I can now also use Hooke's law. So Hooke's law says the spring force is equal to k, the spring constant, times s, the stretch. I know s and I want to find k, so I can just divide both sides by s, and I get the following: k mg sine theta over s. Now, notice that the mass is in kilograms. And this is newtons per kilogram. Sine theta doesn't have units. So if I divide this by centimeters, I'll get the spring constant in newtons per centimeter. I want it in newtons per meter. So that means I'm going to have to convert this. So S is 2.3 centimeters. I'm going to multiply that by 1 meter divided by 100. I'm doing this formally because a lot of times you'll say, do I multiply or divide by 100? Don't do that. Okay, you're going to get yourself in trouble. Just write it out. But here you can see the centimeters cancel, and I get S is 0.023 meters. You can put that in your calculator if you want. Now I know everything. I can just put it in my calculator. I'm going to write it out formally. K is m. I'm not going to put the units just for simplicity, but I know that I have everything in the right units. 1.2 kilograms, 9.8 sine of 33 divided by 0.023. Now we need to put that in our calculator. I'm going to enter that in my calculator. You should do the same thing just to check to make sure you have your order of operations fine. So I'm going to do this, 1.2, 9.8 times. Sine of 33, make sure your calculator is in degrees mode. And I think mine is. I'm just going to assume it is. 33 sine. There it is. Okay, that is. And then I'm going to multiply it, and then I'm going to divide by this. 0.023 divided by, and I get K 278. I'll just leave it like that because I said 3 significant digits. Newtons per meter. If you put 278.5, that's fine too.